What's up, everybody? Nico Dwyer back for the 10th inning, here with another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw Barry Bonds in 2001 become the all-time single-season home run leader, hitting his 71st and 72nd home run. We don't have Barry Bonds making any more records today, but we do have some more baseball to talk about, we do have some more baseball records to talk about, and we have a little bit of golf to get into. So if y'all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Let's get to it. This Day in Sports History. And we will start today in 1911, and Boston Rustlers pitcher, future Hall of Famer Cy Young would pitch his final appearance in the MLB, and this would not be a typical Cy Young game. I mean, maybe it is if you count that he has the most losses in MLB history, but the team lost 13-3, Cy Young, 6 in the third, 11 hits allowed, 11 runs allowed, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And just adding to the records that Cy Young has, this was his 906th appearance in the MLB. That will never be broken by a pitcher. Move up now to 1928 in golf at the PGA Championship. Leo Deagle would defeat Al Espinosa 6-5 in the final to win his first of 2 consecutive titles and 2 majors. Back over to baseball now. In 1936, in the World Series, the New York Yankees would defeat the New York Giants in 6 games to win the World Series 4-2 after a Game 6 13-5 victory, with Lefty Gomez getting the win for their 5th of 27 titles. 5 years later in 1941, back to the World Series. Instead of beating the New York Giants though, the New York Yankees defeated the Brooklyn Dodgers in 5 games, 4-1, in a 3-1 victory to win their 9th of 27 titles. Take a little bit of a break off the Yankees right now. Move to 1945, and tavern owner Billy Goat Cianis would buy a seat for him and his goat for Game 4 of the World Series. He would end up being escorted out, and he cast the Billy Goat curse on the Chicago Cubs, saying they would never win another World Series. Well, they did win. Took till 2016, 108 years since their last, but they did it. Back to the Yankees in the World Series in 1963, but this time we had the Los Angeles Dodgers sweeping the New York Yankees in 4 games with a 2-1 Game 4 victory. Sandy Koufax getting the win. This would be his 2nd win of the series. For the Dodgers, this would be their 3rd of 6 overall titles. Stick with the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series, moved to 1965, and Sandy Koufax would decline to pitch the first game of the World Series against the Twins because the scheduled game occurred on Yom Kippur. So Koufax was not there for Game 1. Don Drysdale ended up pitching, gave up 7 runs in 3 innings, in the team's 8-2 loss in Minnesota. And 1 year later, we stick with the Dodgers in the World Series 1966. As they were facing the Baltimore Orioles, Jim Palmer, at 20 years old, would become the youngest player to pitch a World Series shutout in a 6-0 victory against the Dodgers. 9 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. While that was crazy, what made this game even crazier was that Sandy Koufax, at only 30 years old, would end up retiring the next month, so this would actually be the final game he would ever pitch in. Now we move to F1 in 1974, and Emerson Fittipaldi would finish 4th in the US Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, but that would be enough to win his 2nd and final F1 World Drivers' Championship. Stay in the world of F1, this time Alain Prost would clinch his first F1 World Drivers' Championship after a 4th place finish at the European Grand Prix, and this would be his first of 4 titles. Stay in 1985, in Major League Baseball, Yankees pitcher Phil Niekro would become the 18th pitcher to win 300 games. And he would do this in shutout fashion, defeating Toronto 8-0, 9 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Now we move over to the NBA in 1993, and after 9 seasons, 3 championships with the Bulls, Michael Jordan would announce his retirement from the NBA, his first retirement. And this came less than 4 months after he helped the Bulls to their 3rd consecutive NBA championship with a 6-game victory over Phoenix. At the time of his first retirement, his totals included 21,541 points, 7 straight lead scoring titles, 3 regular season and 3 NBA Finals MVPs. He would officially be back though, less than 2 years later, March 18th, 1995. Now we move to Major League Baseball in 2001, and we start off with the Seattle Mariners, who would win their 116th game, tying the 1906 Cubs for the winningest team in MLB history. Staying in 2001 in Major League Baseball, and Cal Ripken Jr. would play his final game of his career as the Orioles took a 5-1 loss to the Boston Red Sox. 9 years later, in the playoffs in 2010, Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Roy Halladay would throw only the second no-hitter in MLB postseason history in Game 1 of the NLDS, as the Phillies defeated the Reds 4-0 on the day, 9 innings pitched, 1 walk allowed, 8 strikeouts. Get off baseball and go over to golf in 2013, and at the President's Cup, the U.S. would win for the 5th successive time with an 18.5 to 15.5 victory over the international team. 4 years later in 2017, in the NHL, the Las Vegas Golden Knights would make their NHL debut in Dallas, winning 2-1 over the Stars. And finally in 2018, in the UFC, we have the fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor, and Nurmagomedov would end up defeating McGregor in the 4th round via submission in the UFC lightweight title fight. So there you go. That's what happened on this day in sports history. If I left anything out, I do apologize. If I mispronounced any names, I also apologize. But I'll see everybody in tomorrow's video. For Nick O'Dwyer, and this 10th inning.